This program is intended to assist in training the operator of the Hobart Model 1812 manual slicer and is a supplement to the instruction manual. The instruction manual provided with your machine has the number ML104550 or ML104545 for the Hobart 1812 ALB on the cover. Be sure the ML number matches the number stamped on the data plate on the machine. For more information, always refer to the instruction manual. Replacement manuals can be obtained from your local Hobart office. Warning, this machine is provided with a 3-prong grounding plug. The outlet to which this plug is connected must be properly grounded. If the receptacle is not the proper grounding type, contact an electrician. Safety devices incorporated in this slicer must be in their correct operating positions any time the slicer is in use. Warning, rotating knife. Use feed grip. Unplug before cleaning, servicing, or removing parts. Replace parts before use. Unplug the machine power cord and turn the index knob fully clockwise before cleaning the slicer. The slicer knife is very sharp. Exercise extreme caution when working near the knife. Before beginning any maintenance procedure, unplug the machine power cord. Your new Hobart 1812 slicer has been designed for easy operation, cleaning, and maintenance. A full range of features, including the Hobart Stay Sharp cast stainless steel knife, one-piece anodized aluminum base, permanently mounted ring guard, direct drive all-gear transmission, gauge plate interlock, and the home start operating feature, means your Hobart 1812 slicer will deliver safe, reliable service for years to come. In the next few minutes, you'll learn Model 1812 operation procedures, including parts identification, safety precautions and practices, operating procedures, cleaning procedures, sanitizing procedures, and maintenance procedures, including knife sharpening and lubrication. Let's take a moment to become familiar with the parts of the 1812 slicer and their location. Operation of each part will be explained later in the program. The safety devices incorporated in this slicer must be in their correct operating positions any time the slicer is in use. Before operating the slicer, check to be sure the safety devices are in position and properly installed. The slicer will not operate until the carriage is pulled all the way toward you or home start position. The top knife cover must be in position and secured with the latch knob. To secure the top knife cover, place the hook on the notch and gently lower the cover into position. Rotate the spring-loaded latch knob counterclockwise, allow the cover to settle into a resting position, and release the latch knob to secure the knife cover. Next, check the deflector plate. It mounts behind the knife on a spring clip. Carefully place each clip on the knife support and press firmly to secure in place. The meat grip is used during slicing to keep your hands away from the knife. To use the meat grip, lift up and rotate the grip into position. Press the grip firmly into the product. The non-removable ring guard shields the knife during operation and cleanup. There are also several safety precautions you should follow when working with the slicer. When the slicer is not in operation, turn the index knob fully clockwise to close the gauge plate. This prevents the knife edge from being exposed. And before cleaning, lubricating, or moving the slicer, always unplug the machine power cord. To operate the Hobart 1812 slicer, you must begin with setup and assembly. As previously mentioned, make sure all safety devices are installed correctly. Then position the carriage tray onto the carriage support. To install the carriage tray, the carriage must be pulled all the way toward you or home start position. Lower the carriage tray lever arm and turn the carriage tray locking knob clockwise. The top-mounted sharpener will already be mounted on its bracket, with the guide pins in the slots and the sharpener in its normal storage position. To begin slicing product on the Hobart 1812 slicer, pull the carriage all the way toward you until it reaches its stop. Next, with the meat grip out of the way, place the product on the carriage tray. Then set the meat grip against the product. If the meat grip is not needed, store it out of the way by sliding it to the top of its travel, rotating it, and allowing it to rest on the retaining clip. Adjust the gauge plate by turning the index knob to select slice thickness. The numbers on the index knob do not indicate actual measurements, but should be used as reference to duplicate slice thickness. The slicer will not operate until the carriage is pulled all the way toward you or home start position. After you've done this, pull out the on-off switch to start the slicer. Notice the switch illuminates when the slicer is on. Place your hand on the carriage tray handle and gently push the carriage back and forth to slice the product. As you do this, uniform slices are produced. When the slicing operation is complete, or you need to switch product, it is recommended that you clean and sanitize the slicer to prevent cross-contamination. First, unplug the slicer. Turn the index knob fully clockwise to close the gauge plate. Then, using hot water and a mild detergent solution, carefully wipe the top knife cover, carriage, knife edge, gauge plate, and discharge area. Finally, spray sanitizer on the areas. Wipe and rinse thoroughly. To increase your slicing productivity, several accessories can be used with the Hobart 1812 manual slicer. The optional fence accessory holds the product in position during slicing. To use the fence, loosen the thumb screw and slide the fence onto the carriage tray. Position the fence close to the product, but not pushing against it. The product should have room to move freely on the carriage tray. Once the fence is in place, tighten the thumb screw to secure. The optional food chute is handy for slicing a large number of small items at one time, or large items like lettuce or cabbage. To use the food chute, close the gauge plate by turning the index knob fully clockwise and pull the carriage to home start position. Loosen the carriage tray locking knob, lift the carriage lever arm, and carefully remove the carriage tray. Position the food chute onto the carriage support, lower the carriage tray lever arm, and turn the carriage tray locking knob clockwise. Place the product into the food chute and carefully lower the pusher plate into the chute. Be careful not to drop the pusher plate into an empty food chute. It could damage the retaining ring at the bottom of the chute. Turn on the slicer and place your hand on the carriage tray handle. Push the carriage back and forth to slice the product. Your slicer must be thoroughly cleaned and sanitized after each day's operation, or any time it will not be used for an extended period of time. Before beginning any cleaning procedures, always unplug the machine power cord. Turn the index knob fully clockwise to close the gauge plate, and pull the carriage to home start position. To begin cleaning, remove the fence by unscrewing the thumb screw and sliding it from the carriage tray. Next, remove the carriage tray. Loosen the carriage tray locking knob, lift the lever arm, and gently lift the carriage tray from the support. Now, remove the deflector by grasping it with both hands and pulling out, away from the machine. The top-mounted knife sharpener is removed by pushing the locking lever to the left and lifting the sharpener off its mounting bracket. Next, remove the top knife cover by rotating the latch knob counterclockwise and lifting it away from the slicer. The carriage tray, deflector, fence, and top knife cover may all be submerged in a hot water solution for cleaning. Do not wash these slicer components in the dishwasher. Clean the knife sharpener using a mild detergent and hot water solution and a clean cloth. Wipe out any product residue and rinse with clean water. The knife sharpener may also be placed in the dishwasher for cleaning. Warning: the slicer knife is very sharp. Exercise extreme caution when working near the knife. Now, clean the ring guard. To clean the ring guard, submerge a thin cloth in the detergent and hot water solution. Insert the cloth at the bottom part of the ring guard where it meets the gauge plate. Using both hands, position the cloth so that you are able to grasp it with your left hand from underneath the gauge plate. Carefully work the cloth between the knife and ring guard. Once the cloth is in place, use your right hand to pull the cloth 360 degrees around the ring guard in a counterclockwise direction. Pull the cloth until you reach the point where you started. Repeat this procedure if necessary. Next, carefully wash the top side of the knife, wiping outward from the center. Once the top side is cleaned, wipe the underside, also wiping outward from the center. Rinse both sides of the knife using the same procedure as you did while washing. In addition to cleaning, it is advisable to coat the knife with a USDA-approved odorless, tasteless oil. Once the knife has been coated, replace the top knife cover as shown earlier and reassemble the knife sharpener. To reassemble the top-mounted knife sharpener, place the sharpener into position on its mounting bracket. Lift the front of the sharpener slightly and slide it back so the rear slot on the sharpener slides over the rear guide pin on the mounting bracket. Slide the lock lever to the lock position and check that the sharpener is tightly in position. Next, wipe down all machine surfaces with the hot water detergent solution and a clean cloth. Rinse the slicer with another clean cloth and fresh water. Now, clean under the slicer. Lift the end of the machine where the index knob is located and pull down the cleaning leg underneath. Carefully clean under the slicer. When finished, lift the slicer slightly to retract the cleaning leg. Finally, replace the deflector and carriage tray. Once the cleaning is complete, you must sanitize the slicer. Using a recommended sanitizing solution diluted to manufacturer's guidelines, sanitize the slicer. Carefully spray the solution on all exposed areas of the slicer, including the top knife cover, gauge plate, deflector, discharge area, and base. Thoroughly rinse the slicer with a clean, damp cloth when sanitizing is complete. The Hobart cast stainless steel knife requires periodic sharpening, and you can determine when to sharpen the knife. Sharpen the knife when you get ragged or uneven cuts, or excessive tailings or scraps. It's important not to sharpen the knife more often than necessary. Prolonged or too frequent sharpening results in unnecessary knife wear. Before beginning any sharpening procedure, unplug the machine's power cord, and make sure the index knob is turned fully clockwise to close the gauge plate. Then pull the carriage to home start position. Remove the top knife cover by rotating the latch knob counterclockwise and lifting it away from the slicer. Thoroughly wash the area around the knife, the exposed knife surfaces, and the knife edge. Grease should not be transferred from the knife to the sharpener's grindstones. Sharpening a dirty knife will shorten the life of the sharpening stones. Next, plug in the machine's power cord and pull the on-off switch to start the slicer. With your left hand, lift the sharpener handle to a horizontal position. Pull the sharpener handle toward you and apply pressure until the handle has gone as far as it will go. Sharpen the knife for 10 seconds and release the sharpener handle. When you are done sharpening, turn off the slicer and unplug the machine power cord. Remove any grinding particles by first cleaning the ring guard as described earlier. Then, wipe the slicer and knife with a clean, damp cloth to remove any remaining particles. Finally, replace the top knife cover. In order to keep your slicer operating at its best, it is necessary to perform some routine lubrication to the unit. A container of the proper lubricant was supplied with your slicer. Additional quantities are available from your local Hobart office. The carriage slide rod reservoir should be filled monthly with several drops of Lubriplate FMO 200 AW lubricant supplied with your slicer. Do not use vegetable oil to fill the slide rod reservoir. The slide rod reservoir is located here. Simply place the container tip into the reservoir and squeeze to fill. Occasionally, the gauge plate slide rod should be lightly coated with the same lubricant. FMO 200 AW lubricant should be used to lubricate the slide rods if indexing becomes stiff. Carefully turn the index knob counterclockwise to fully open the gauge plate when lubricating the slide rods. Exercise extreme caution. With the gauge plate open, the knife edge is exposed. Then lubricate the slide rods by applying a light coat of Lubriplate FMO 200 AW lubricant to each. Turn the index knob fully clockwise to close the gauge plate. Do not lubricate the meat grip slide rod. It must be kept clean, but not lubricated. This concludes operator training for the Hobart 1812 slicer. For additional information regarding operation of this machine, always refer to your instruction manual. If service becomes necessary, contact your local Hobart authorized service office. For information on how other Hobart products can improve the efficiency and operation of your facility, contact your local Hobart sales representative.